I, 28 male, met my ex, 30 female, when I started a new job, and we started dating shortly after. Unfortunately, I found out that she was married and planning a family with another man not long after. Not that long ago, I got out of a really bad relationship and decided that it would be best for me to start over somewhere else. I had been wanting to leave my job for some time, and the relationship ending was the perfect opportunity for me to move and to do that. I ended up finding a job in Seattle, a place that I had always been interested in living. When I started, everybody was so friendly. I had always been the type of person who kept their work life and personal life separate, but it was easy to mix them in the new office. For the first time in my life, it truly felt like I had a work family. Everyone in the office loved Halloween, so they threw an annual party every year. I was excited to go. It was my favorite holiday, and I thought it was a great way to get in with my other coworkers. When I was there, I met perhaps the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. At first, I thought she must have been another coworker's date or something because I hadn't seen her around the office. She noticed me as well and decided to strike up a conversation. I found out that she actually worked in the office and had been out of the country on business and returned just a few days before the party. The Halloween party surprisingly got kind of rowdy. There were a lot of people who indulged a little too much in the open bar and said and did some weird things. The woman that I met took the opportunity to kiss me. It escalated from there, and we ended up hooking up in the bathroom. I had never done anything like that, so I didn't really know what that would mean for us moving forward. I thought it might be awkward at first, and I didn't want anything to be uncomfortable between us. The party ended, and everyone went home. The following Monday, everybody came in and discussed how crazy the party was. I wasn't sure if the woman was going to be super excited to see me, so I didn't look for her. Around lunchtime, she actually found me, and we talked. She ended up telling me that she thought we had some kind of connection and didn't regret what we did. She then told me that the office had a strict no dating policy, so we couldn't tell anybody about us. I didn't know anybody else in the office that well yet, so I didn't have anyone that I immediately wanted to run to tell about the new girl I was seeing. It was easy for me to keep that a secret from them. She and I dated in secret for a few months. We would sneak small kisses in the break room, we would hold hands under tables, and we would exchange longing glances at each other. I kind of liked sneaking around. She would come back to my apartment some nights after work, and we would hook up before she would go back to her apartment. I asked her why she never brought me to her place, and she told me that she had a roommate who would always nag her about having guests over. She also always made up excuses not to sleep over at my place, like not having clothes for work or having early meetings. I never suspected that the reason we were keeping our relationship a secret was because she was actually married. Here's the thing about that. She wore a wedding ring, and I didn't think anything about it. I didn't even notice because she wore a lot of rings. Honestly, before I knew she was married, I didn't even know what finger a wedding ring went on. So, maybe it was my own stupidity that kept it going for so long. One day, I was in the office and chatting with one of my coworkers when they casually mentioned going to dinner with my girlfriend and her husband. I felt my face go hot as soon as they said that. I clarified, not thinking that they had the right information, but they confirmed to me that she was in fact married. I couldn't believe it right away. I was dumbfounded by the information. I mean, how could I not have known she was married? She lied to me about our relationship. I needed to see for myself, so just out of curiosity, I texted her and asked her if she wanted to go out that night. She told me that she had some family over and couldn't. I couldn't help but think that was just another lie. I struck up a conversation with the same coworker later that day, and I asked them about where they were going for dinner. They started telling me all about the restaurant they planned on visiting. I had asked my girlfriend about social media early on in our relationship, and she told me that she didn't have any. I didn't have any reason not to believe that was the case, so I didn't have her on anything. After finding out that she might have been married, I searched her online, and I found all the evidence I needed. She had been married for about 3 years, and from everything I saw online, it looked like they were very happy together. I was the other man in the relationship, and I didn't even know it. My blood was boiling at the thought of her lying to me so blatantly. I knew that I needed to confront her about it, and her husband needed to know about what she did. I tried to think of a way to do so calmly, but my impulsiveness got the better of me, and I decided to crash their dinner. I found the restaurant that my coworker told me they would be at, and I let myself in. I saw all four of them sitting at a table together, laughing and sharing a bottle of wine. The coworker that I had been speaking to earlier saw me and waved me over. They happily introduced me to their partner, as well as the husband of my girlfriend. Her face fell when she saw me. I could tell she knew exactly what was about to happen. I shook the husband's hand and wrinkled my eyebrows, pretending like it was the first time I heard she was married. I told her that she never told me she had a husband, otherwise I would have never been with her. I knew going in that she had a husband, but I played the victim as best as I could so she would be made out as this big villain. I told her that what she was doing was wrong, and everybody in the room looked very confused. I explained everything to them, and her husband confessed that he knew there was something going on. He stormed out of the restaurant, and she followed behind him. When they were gone, I explained everything in more detail to my coworker, especially about how she lied to me and told me that there was a strict no-dating policy in the office. Apparently, that was actually true. Dating within the office was prohibited to prevent drama between the employees. There was a clause in our contracts that possible termination could be in order should that agreement be breached. The next time I was in the office, I went right to the HR department and disclosed the relationship to them. I explained everything, and I told them that it was likely there would be drama between my girlfriend and me given the fact that she was a liar and a cheater. Part of me thought that I would be fired and she would be allowed to keep her job because of seniority reasons. There was no reason to fire both of us, so if one person had to be fired, it would have been me. I was looking for other jobs and positions after I told them and waited for their decision. Come to find out, the coworker that was at the restaurant with her went to HR and explained everything that happened. They were clearly on my side in the events of everything and told HR that if anybody should stay, it should be me. I got a call from HR later that day telling me that the situation was handled and I was given a formal warning about dating in the office, but my girlfriend was terminated. I felt nice to know that they took my side and everything. It was good to know that they saw the right side and didn't just align with her even though she was the cheater. My coworker told me a few months later that my ex-girlfriend was getting divorced from her husband and actively looking for a job. Termination never looks good on your record, so I knew she would have been having a difficult time. I didn't know what else was going on with her, and I really didn't care. I actually reached out to her ex-husband to express how sorry I was. I genuinely didn't know anything about him, and as soon as I found out, I tried to correct the issue. He wasn't receptive to talking to me at first, which was understandable because he was probably in a lot of pain. After a few weeks, he reached out to me and told me that it was a difficult thing to hear, but he was glad that I told him what happened. They were actually planning on starting a family, so he was happy it ended before there were children involved. OP, it's unbelievable to hear about how easily somebody can lie to another person. The ease with which your ex-girlfriend was able to carry on living this lie is frankly disturbing. I feel very sorry for her ex-husband. If they were planning on starting a family, it seems like they must have been in love and excited about the future. I can't imagine having that all taken out from under you. You did the right thing by going to the restaurant and outing her for the liar that she was when you found out. Everybody deserves to know that the person they're with isn't who they were making themselves out to be. I'm glad the husband has spoken to you after the fact and updated you on his life. I hope that this won't hold you back from finding happiness in the future. Going from one bad relationship to another can leave anyone jaded, but I promise you they aren't all like this. I wish you nothing but the best moving forward. Now let's move on to our next story. My wife and I have been together for 8 years, and they were some of the happiest of my life. Things are complicated now, but I knew that I loved her from the moment I met her. She was a sweet, smart girl, and she was pretty much everything I wanted. We got married after only dating each other for about 6 months. Everybody told us that it was way too soon, but neither of us cared to listen. We knew that we wanted to be together, so we went to the courthouse and signed the papers. I know it's not the most romantic of stories, but it's what we both wanted at the time. When we first got together, one of the biggest arguments we would have would be about money. Neither of us had really good jobs at the time and things were tight. We pulled all of our money together, and then we would argue about what we would spend it on, whether that be buying something for the house or saving to buy our own home. A couple of years ago, I got an incredible promotion at work, and things took a turn for us. We had more money than we ever thought we would, and we decided to start a family. So we put a down payment on a house, and once everything was set up there, we started trying to have a baby. It didn't take long for us to get pregnant, and everything seemed to be going well. About 6 months into my wife's pregnancy, I was very overwhelmed with everything. I was going to be a father, and I would have a whole life depending on me for 18 years. It was a lot to take in, and honestly, I could have handled it better. I was scared, and I threw myself into work to try to avoid that feeling. I didn't take my wife's feelings into consideration at all. I just wanted to forget about my worries. What I didn't know was happening at the time was that my wife was talking to her sister a lot about our relationship. Apparently, the distance that had been growing between us was alarming her, and she thought something was going on. Most people would try to calm her down and tell her that her hormones were clouding her judgment, but not my sister-in-law. She actually convinced my wife that I was cheating. My wife never came to me about it either. Both of them just assumed that I was cheating and carried on with their lives thinking that was the case. I had never been interested in having an affair with anyone. Yes, there have been times when I've looked at another woman since I've been with my wife, but I've never once considered cheating. Throughout the rest of the pregnancy, I didn't even notice that anything was off. The baby came and both of us were completely obsessed with him. It changed our personalities and demeanor quite a bit. Unfortunately, when I was working a lot more during a pregnancy, I set a standard for myself that I had to upkeep after the baby was born. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with them, which was hard to deal with. I took 3 weeks off right after the baby was born, but after that, it was back to normal for me at work. Once again, my wife thought that I was cheating on her, and once again, she didn't come to me with these concerns. I started to notice that there was something off in the relationship about 8 months after our son was born. It was around the holidays, and thankfully my job gave us an entire week off with Christmas and New Year's. I was really looking forward to the time off to spend with my family and celebrate my son's first Christmas. With the time at home, I noticed that my wife was very distant. I finally had the time to relax and be with her, but she didn't even seem to want me to touch her. On top of that, she was being very sneaky about her phone. I kind of thought that she was doing something Christmas related and didn't want me to see it because it was supposed to be a surprise. But after Christmas came and went and she was still doing it, I started to get a little worried. One afternoon, she passed out on the couch after she put our son down for a nap, and I took advantage of the opportunity to see what she was being so sneaky about. I grabbed her phone and looked through it to see what was going on. I felt like I had been punched in the gut when I realized she was having an affair. At the time, I didn't know that she thought I was cheating. I thought that everything in our relationship was fine. I found countless messages from some random man where they were sexting and exchanging nude photos. The man was very clearly fetishizing my wife's postpartum body. This is kind of gross, but he was very interested in her breasts, if you get what I mean with that. I felt like my entire world was shattering around me. I just had a baby with this woman, and she was cheating on me. It was absolutely horrifying to learn. I gathered as much evidence from her phone as I could, including every bit of detail I could find about the man she was talking to. It was obvious from the messages that he knew about me. He had an affair with a woman that he knew was married and just had a baby. It was all very disgusting. I put the phone back where it was and pretended like everything was normal while I looked into the man. It didn't take too long for me to find him. I did an image search of him, and I found a Reddit account where he posted a lot of lewd pictures of himself. On top of that, he was in a lot of pervy subreddits about pregnancy and women who have just given birth. Through his account, that's where I found out he met my wife. Her post was pretty harmless. It was in a safe-for-work pregnancy community, where she posted a picture comparing her belly before pregnancy and at different stages. Most of the comments were from other women and were very uplifting, telling her it was natural and beautiful, etc., but that's where I saw this man's comment. He mentioned that a pregnant belly was the most beautiful and attractive thing to a man. She thanked him, and I guess from there they started talking. I was also able to discover that the man was married. He was older than my wife, and he had a family of his own. From what I could find on the internet, it looked like his family was grown and out of the house. From their messages, I wasn't sure if they had actually slept together yet, but it didn't matter. If she was having these conversations with another man and sending him these pictures, it was cheating. I tried to figure out what to do to move forward with everything. Part of me considered talking to my wife about it and finding a way to move on, but I didn't think I would be able to do anything like that. I ended up finding the man's wife on Facebook and sending her a friend request. She accepted it not long after, and I sent her a message detailing everything I had discovered, attaching some of the pictures and screenshots that I had of their conversations. She didn't respond to the messages, but she did read them. A few days passed, and I noticed some behavior changes with my wife. She wasn't looking at her phone as often, and she seemed to be more interested in me. I couldn't help but think that it was because the man she was talking to had stopped contacting her. Everything was eating away at me, so one night I just confronted her about it. I told her that I was waiting for her to come clean, but she didn't. We got into a huge argument about everything, and I asked her why she was doing that. She framed the entire situation as her getting revenge on me for cheating. Again, at the time I didn't know she and her sister had suspected me of anything, so I was taken aback by the accusation. I shut it down right away, and she insisted that I was up to something. I told her that I genuinely wasn't cheating, and I detailed everything that I did during the days when I was working. I could see that she felt bad for assuming that I was cheating on her and acting out in revenge. She apologized profusely, but it was too little too late. She had behaved extremely immaturely, and her actions had consequences. I told her that I couldn't be with her, and I told her that I would be filing for divorce. She was heartbroken, and she begged me not to, but I didn't have a choice. She broke my trust, and I didn't want anything to do with her. She left the house to go stay with her sister, and I got started on the paperwork. Her sister contacted me a couple of days after she left and tried to explain everything, taking a lot of the blame for herself. I sent her a message telling her that in the future she should consider not meddling in things that were on her business. I was looking through Facebook one day out of curiosity, and I saw that the woman I contacted about the messages posted a long message announcing her divorce. In the message, she mentioned how they were together for 25 years, and it was a very difficult decision. But she found out that her husband was carrying on several online affairs and had cheated in person countless times. I felt bad because I thought I was the one to break this news to her, but then again, it was best that she knew. I ended up getting divorced from my wife, and now I have full custody of our son because I'm the one with a full-time job. My wife is living with her sister and comes to visit our son often. Despite everything that happened, I want her to be a part of his life, and I'm not going to keep them from each other. OP, it definitely seems like your sister-in-law had a major role in convincing your wife that you were cheating, which is frustrating because it really wasn't any of her business. If either of them had any concerns, they should have come to you to address them rather than act under the idea that you were cheating. Regardless of whether or not she actually met the man in person, exchanging those messages and pictures is still cheating. I think you did the right thing by divorcing her when you found the messages. It seems like it could have escalated into a physical relationship easily. It's good that you're still allowing her to be around your son frequently. It is best that they do have a good, loving relationship. I really wish you and your family nothing but the best moving forward. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Take care.